Good morning. March 1 Hindu Editorial. Coming home on the release of Indian Pilot Wing Commander Abhinandan. The release of the IAS pilot gives India and Pakistan the chance to de-escalate tensions. With Pakistan's decision to release Wing Commander Abhinandan Vardhaman, tensions between India and Pakistan may finally wind down. The gesture, which Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan called an offer of peace and goodwill, must be appreciated, although there is evidence to suggest that there was pressure from other countries on Islamabad to make such an announcement to prevent further escalation from India. If Wing Commander Abhinandan's return provides the space for diplomacy to take over, it is because it gives both countries the opportunity to signal a victory of sorts. Islamabad will project itself as having done the decent thing, and New Delhi is likely to claim that its tough stance compelled his return. There have been a number of incidents that took the subcontinent to brink of a conflict that could have quite easily spiraled out of control, from the Pulwama attack to the Indian airstrikes on Balakot, to attempted attacks by Pakistani military aircraft in Jammu and Kashmir, and the IAF pilot's capture. The sense of uncertainty was only made worse by the utterances of public figures and the media on both sides, who tried to score points domestically. In India, within a few weeks, the image of a nation in grief determined to fight terrorism appeared to have given way to triumphalism over the Balakot strikes. Pakistan went the same way after it foiled an attack across the line of control that saw both sides take down each other's aircraft. Videos of Wing Commander Abhinandan being manhandled by a mob before Pakistani soldiers moved in to protect him did not help. As a result, the focus changed within a few days from India's outrage over the terror strike to two nuclear neighbors poised for conflict. It's time for New Delhi and Islamabad to use the pause afforded by the relief over the release to decide on the rules of engagement. Pakistan must realize that the time for denial and obfuscation is over. Unless it begins to act on India's and the world community's concerns about Pakistan-based terror safe havens in a time-bound manner, the two nations could be back on the brink of war if there is another trigger. If it does act, it could herald a paradigm shift in India-Pakistan engagement and help fix its own fragile economy. This has a precedent. The period that followed then Pakistan President Pervez Musharraf's 2003 announcement on shutting down terror groups, when Pakistan's military actually showed some results in the matter, was the most productive phase of engagement between the two countries in recent decades. Significantly, it was a time of economic growth and stability too for Pakistan. New Delhi must be ready to show both flexibility and a determined focus on Pakistan's action against terror groups, including the Jaish-e-Mohammed. This is the best way to build constructively on the international consensus built post-Pulwama in India's favor. March 1st, Hindu Editorial 2. The Deal Maker, on resignation and reinstatement of Mohammad Javed Zarif. The drama over Iranian Foreign Minister Zarif's moves reflects an ideological tussle. A day after posting his resignation on Instagram, Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javed Zarif was compelled to resume duties when President Hassan Rouhani rejected it. This sudden move by Mr. Zarif, who is widely credited with playing a key role in forging the nuclear deal in 2015, reflects the tensions within the Iranian political establishment. The US withdrawal from the nuclear deal after Donald Trump became president and the reintroduction of American sanctions on Iran have sharpened contradictions between the hardliners and the moderates within the Islamic Republic, an ideological tussle that has endured for a long time. Hardliners opposed to any thaw in relations with the West and who were always skeptical of the nuclear deal have found in the current circumstances an opportunity to question and critique the architects of the deal. Mr. Zarif's public resignation was also a kind of power play. He was missing in the parleys between Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and his host in Tehran recently. Mr. Azad, who is a key West Asian ally for Iran and has received military help from Tehran during the civil war, had also met Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khomeini. Through his resignation and public outcry that followed, Mr. Zarif sent a signal to his government that he was no lightweight diplomat and had a significant public standing among Iranians favorably disposed towards the regime. The reimposition of sanctions has been a major economic setback for Iran. The country did get some respite after the US granted a temporary waiver for 8 countries, including India, which are key trading partners. But with the sanctions, it is reeling under a weakening currency and galloping inflation. The major countries in the European Union, Germany, France, and the UK, have reiterated that Iran has complied with the regulations of the nuclear deal and have created a new financial special purpose vehicle to facilitate trade with Iran despite the US sanctions. The operationalization of this entity is dependent on Iran abiding by rules framed by the International Financial Action Task Force. Bills that will bring Iranians' laws in line with FATF rules are pending in Iran's Expediency Council and Parliament due to a protracted debate between the moderates and the hardliners. Had Mr. Zarif, the main architect and advocate of the deal, exited the government, it would have complicated Iran's continued adherence to the agreement. The conservatives' critique of Mr. Zarif must be seen in this light. President Rouhani's rejection of his resignation also indicates that he can ill afford to lose an ally at this crucial juncture for Iran and its engagement with the West. Hindu editorial complete.